Many people want to get started in real estate investing, but they don't because they either feel like they don't know enough or they're scared of the mistakes they're going to make. What if I told you you can start today? My name is Chris A. Williams. I'm a real estate owner, investor, and entrepreneur. I've done multiple real estate investing transactions and I've got punched, I've got beaten up, made plenty of mistakes just so you don't have to. In this video, we're going to cover some of the most common mistakes that new real estate investors make, and I'm going to cover them so you don't have to make those. So one of the very first mistakes that people make is they don't have a vision for the property, or they have the wrong vision for the property. When I say vision, I'm saying, what are you going to do with the property? What is going to be your exit strategies? So if you don't know what exit strategy is, look at my previous video and I explain that there. When we're talking about the exit strategy for a property like this, one that needs a lot of work, my vision would be to make it a flip. So a fix and flip for this specific property. Now, when I'm saying people may have the wrong vision, they may try to do things that aren't physically possible in a property. Like, for example, if somebody wanted to put a pool in the living room or something like that, okay, that wouldn't really make sense. So you need to know your market and know what are properties similar to yours, what are they selling at, what are similar features and things like that that they do have in the property. So for this particular property we're currently in Norfolk, Virginia. This is a 3-bed, 1-bath, about 1,300 square foot, give or take. I'm very familiar with this type of property. Oh, and it was built in 1910, so over 100 years old. But as I was saying, very familiar with this type of property because I own 2 properties that are the exact same layout as it. So I can look at a property like this and I already have the vision. I already know exactly what I would do with the flip. Come on, let's take a look and see what we currently have. So if you guys see this right here, I don't know if you can see the whole living area, but this is super tight. Remember, the home was built in 1910, so that was cool back then.
That's a bar.
As you can even see the wood stove, things like that. That was cool back then, but guess what? We're in 2025. This is not gonna fly. People want an open layout. They want open space. Now, I know I can easily make this an open layout by getting rid of these things, opening up the space now. So this room and this room can connect. We have an even bigger living space. Another big issue right here is this wall. This needs to go. Because if you guys come in, take a look at the kitchen really quick. You see how it's so stiff, how it's so odd, you know, it's far compared to that. You can easily take out this wall. And guess what? None of this stuff you really necessarily need actually might be a little difficult. With this right here, you got to move the water heater, but you can move that up to the attic. Fridge isn't even in here anyway, so you don't have to worry about that. You would move that anyways. We're gonna come back in the kitchen in a second, but let's come back to the living room. So moving this wall, opening up the space, that gives you some more resale value. Second common mistake that a lot of newer real estate investors make is they don't know their numbers or they give wrong numbers. When I say your numbers, I'm talking about things such as your MAO, also known as your max allowable offer, which is going to be based on your ARV, which is after repair value, and also your rehab numbers. Don't worry, if you don't know rehab numbers yet, okay, we don't have to dive too deep into that one. You can be a little bit off when it comes to rehab numbers, but good way to kind of get some more accurate numbers, check with your contractors, have them give you quotes on what the rehab numbers will be. All right, so your ARV is probably going to be one of your most important numbers when you're purchasing an investment property, regardless of whether you're doing a flip or if you're doing an assignment. Now, if you're going to make it a rental, that's a little bit of a different formula that you got to worry about, so let's not worry about that. Then let's talk about if you're doing a flip or assignment, right? You got to know your ARV, your after repair value. So to do that, all you got to do is look at comparable homes that are selling in your neighborhood that are similar to the property. So I know here we've got a 3-bed, 1-bath, about 1,300 square feet. So if I kept it at that, I'm gonna look at recently flipped homes, recently redone homes that meet that criteria. So touching a little bit on numbers. Remember, I said I'm not gonna go deep into rehab, but come with me real quick. I want you guys to see this. I wanna cover this when it comes to rehab numbers. So when it comes to rehab, some of your most expensive repairs are going to be your top and your bottom. Your bottom meaning your foundation. So I don't know if you guys can tell, but this foundation is messed up. Like here, if you see how the floor is curving, this is a repair that would cost a lot of money. So if I'm looking at a house, ideally I would want to stay away from a home that has foundation issues like this. Or what I could do if I still interested in the home, I could use this as a leverage piece to negotiate the price down because I'm going to tell the seller it's going to cost a lot of money to repair, because it is going to cost a lot of money to repair. Another common mistake that so many new real estate investors do that I absolutely hate is cutting corners. And I get it, it's tempting to do that because you're like, hey, you know, I can save money if I don't do this and I, you know, skip that. Let me tell you, it's gonna hurt you in the long haul. Give you a real story. I'm behind some cabinets right now. Giving my example of a flip that I did recently. The seller had some cabinets, you know, that were already there. I was like, I can keep these cabinets and save some money. Guess what? It ended up being worse for me because I had to take all those cabinets out and replace them because the cabinets weren't already installed. I had to pay the contractor to install those old cabinets. Then when we realized, hey, those cabinets can't be in the house, I had to pay him again to take them out, and also had to pay him to go to the store to get new cabinets and pay him again to install it, right? When all that could have just been avoided if I didn't want to cut the corner and if I just decided, all right, this property does need new cabinets. So don't get me wrong, if there's stuff that you can salvage, okay, salvage it. But if there's a point where you're even thinking, hey, this isn't really salvageable, but I may consider it, don't do it. Don't cut the corners. Before I was doing real estate investing, I was heavy on the real estate agent side. So I went into plenty of properties and things that we will look for to see if a flip was actually done very well. We didn't have to go and under the home, on top of the home, none of that. We could look at things simple as caulking. All right, is there caulk missing here? Are there missing transition pieces? Things like that can usually give a good indication on if a home has been flipped well. And it's important to have a good flip because you're gonna save a lot of money. Think, when you're on the market, you've got people that are constantly looking at your property. If your home doesn't look well, it's gonna take longer for a buyer to come. And the longer a buyer takes to come, the more money you're paying in holding costs, because when you're doing investment, your interest is super high, typically expensive for you. Or let's say you get somebody under contract, but you cut corners. What's gonna happen is that home inspection, when a home inspector goes into the property, they're going to look at the entire property. So they're gonna see those corners that you cut, and they're gonna give that buyer a nice little report with all the issues, everything wrong with the house. And if that buyer gets a super long report, guess what they're gonna do? They're probably gonna walk away from your house, find one that doesn't need all that work, or they're gonna negotiate you down on the price, which is gonna cost you more money. So do it right the first time. I will say, you know, when it came to my flip, I saved money because I told my contractors, let's get this inspection ready. So when the home inspector does his home inspection, it's not gonna be a long inspection report. And that's exactly what happened. It wasn't really a long inspection report. They barely asked for any repairs, and ooh, me happy. Home sells quick. So I wanna go back to my first point of common mistakes that new real estate investors make, which is they don't have the vision for the property. So I'm looking around for this. In this property, we actually have a really spacious bedroom. Now we're upstairs. This is one of 3 bedrooms. But our issue here is we don't have a true primary bathroom. I know that's one big thing that's gonna affect my resale if I'm doing a flip, but also if I have a rental property, one thing that's gonna affect me too, because people are typically looking for a bathroom in their bedroom, or be conjoined with one, a true primary bedroom. So I know that's gonna affect, you know, my value with the property. Even though this isn't a true primary bedroom, let me look around for another primary bedroom in here, see what the other bedrooms have, just to see if I can get that, because you know that's one thing that I'm looking for. So I know that primary bedroom isn't gonna work. So now I'm looking at the other bedrooms to see if I have a true primary bedroom. Here's a bedroom right here. No, not gonna work, too small. All right, over here, I do have a bathroom right here. I've got a full bathroom. This is currently the only bathroom this property has. Now, before I even get into any other details with that, that's also one thing that you guys should look out for when we're talking about vision when it comes to both the resale on a flip or renting a property. I personally, I don't like houses that only have one bathroom in it, because it's gonna hurt your resale tremendously, because that's what people are looking for. Typically, you know, Americans are having growing families, things like that. So they're looking for at least 2 bathrooms. Imagine you got, you know, a 17-year-old son and a 2-year-old toddler, and you're married. You guys all gotta share one bathroom? That's not what anybody's looking for. So people do buy houses like that, but they sell for a lot less, which means less money in my pocket, which is what I'm not looking for. So I don't want you to be looking for that also. So we have this bathroom right here, but we're on the hunt for a primary bedroom. So we have another bedroom that we're in right now. Issue is so small, super tight. I don't even think, maybe a king can fit in here. king size bed, but it's gonna take up pretty much the entire room at this point. You're not even gonna be able to walk or nothing like that. So for a house like this, personally, it's out. I wouldn't buy it because we talked about the issues that are downstairs with the foundation. And we also, when it comes to the vision, we don't have my ideal, what I'm looking for, at least a 3-bedroom and a 2-bathroom home. There's a lot of work that would need to be done. So for me, this is a no-go. So another mistake that real estate investors make, new and old, and it kind of goes back to our point of cutting corners. It's similar, it's adjacent to what I'll say, is they spend money in the wrong places. So what I would really suggest you putting heavy money into is your primary bedroom and your kitchen as your main two. But other things you can is your living room, because that's what you first see when you walk in the home. Also, make sure you take care of your major systems and your foundation, your roof, things like that. When we're talking about aesthetically, a stat that's actually real is over 90% of their home buyers, they do begin their home search online. And guess what a lot of people are looking at? They're looking at the bedroom and they're looking at the kitchen. So already off bat, immediately, if they're looking on Zillow, whatever they're looking at, you got some white appliances, some plain black appliances, it's probably a no. I've literally had people say they won't buy a house because it's got white appliances in it. If that investor, they would have just spent an extra, literally it's a few hundred extra dollars to get stainless steel appliances, that buyer would have bought the house. So that's a real example that this is a real thing that you should be spending money on. And then when it comes to your primary bedroom, a lot of times that's where people are going to spend the most of their time. So they want it to be a good space. You know, that's a deal breaker for a lot of people. So remember, as a real estate investor, you want to have the correct vision. You want to run the correct numbers for the property, and you don't want to cut corners, and you want to spend the money in the correct places. And that way you can turn trash houses just like this into money in your pockets. So now you know the common mistakes not to make. When you want to know what to do, check out my other videos, and you can turn trash houses, just like I said, into money in your pocket for yourself. And once you've done that, now it's time to put a house under contract and get paid. So to do that, to get a contract, all you gotta do is click the link in the description and you'll get that. See y'all in the next video.